It's time for our daily dose of cope, and we have Trixie Spottom at the correspondence desk today, and she has a snack-sized face on a stick, but she definitely is bringing the heat with these next set of stories, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to start out with a Facebook post from this woman named Katie. She says, I voted for Trump because he was the best choice, but he's doing an awful job. He's actually done the opposite of what he's promised. We no longer even have a middle class. Inflation is worse. I still believe he was the right choice out of the candidates because at least he slowed the progression of the insane progressive agenda. Not sure why Social Security is still taxed. That's a simple fix and a one page of legislation. At least she is in reality that things are not good right now, but she would still totally vote for him again. To that, Kevin says it's still only been about 8 months. And then Katie says, yeah, but it's not like nothing has happened. A lot has happened, just in the wrong direction. Laughing my butt off. I'm hoping it's one of those it has to get worse before it gets better things. Ashley responded with, gas is up here. Groceries actually went up here for the first time in over a year. My company paid $12,000 in tariff charges last month, laughing my butt off, which will be passed on to the clients. We had to get 2 company cars worked on in the last month, and it literally made me sick getting the quotes. I got 4 new tires for my car, cost 40% more than it did 2 years ago. Got a new battery for my car yesterday, and it was nearly $300. Brake pads were $350. I hate it here. Earth, awful. And that's the thing. All of these are because of decisions that he's made. This is all because of tariffs and all of that. And if a company has to pay $12,000 extra, that's $12,000 that they don't have for wages. D'Antonio says, economically, I think he's doing great. It's the Israel that will be his downfall. He thinks that this is going great. That is so crazy because do you even go outside? Do you pay for things? It is not going economically great. But Katie says, I don't see anything good economically anywhere at all. I'm not saying it isn't there, but where do I find info on that? Because I'm just seeing a bunch of failed tax-based promises for the middle class. And then he says he extended the tax cut from his previous time in office, and the new stuff takes effect on January 1st, 2026. As for the prices, just look around. Unless you live in a blue state that has high taxes on their own, literally everything is cheaper. It's got a ways to go, but it's only been half a year. Some of these people just live in Delulu land because I live in a red state and it's definitely more expensive. Y'all remember this woman? Her name is Riley Cooper, and she was fired in one of those early stages of Doge, coming in with a chainsaw and firing a bunch of people. So she was featured in the Washington Post, she was featured in other news outlets, and she was fired. This headline says she hoped Trump's victory would change her life, but not like this. She was banking on the whole IVF thing. That's the reason why she voted like she did, because she thought that he was going to come in and be the fertilization president. Now we have this headline from the Washington Post. White House has no plan to mandate IVF care, despite campaign pledge. President Donald Trump has said he wants a baby boom, but critics say his administration has yet to make significant family policy changes and that Medicaid cuts will hurt. The White House does not plan to require health insurers to provide coverage for in vitro fertilization services. 2 people with knowledge of internal discussion said, even though the idea was one of Trump's key campaign pledges. Last year, Trump said that if he returned to office, the government would either pay for IVF services or issue rules requiring insurance companies to cover treatment for it. The pledge came as Trump faced political blowback over termination rights after his appointees to the Supreme Court helped overturn Roe v. Wade. The government is going to pay for it, or we'll mandate your insurance company to pay for it, which is going to be great. We're going to do that. We want to produce babies in this country, right? People actually believe that he was going to do this. And most of us with sense is like, how is he going to make insurance pay for this? This makes absolutely no sense. This is dumb for you to even believe this. More than 6 months into his second term, however, the Trump administration has not publicly proposed new federal subsidies to make IVF free or more affordable. In addition, White House officials are backing away from proposals discussed internally to mandate IVF coverage for the roughly 50 million people on the Obamacare exchanges, said the people who spoke on the condition of anonymity to describe private conversations. A senior administration official who also spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal talks said that while expanding IVF access remains a huge priority for Trump, the president can't legally make IVF an essential health benefit without Congress first approving legislation to do so. It is unclear whether the administration plans to ask lawmakers to take up a bill, but the two people said that forcing insurance companies to cover IVF is not currently on the table. Kylan Silverberg, an outside advisor to the administration who has been pushing for more IVF access, also said in an interview that the White House has most recently asked him about a fertility approach that prioritizes holistic health over tools like IVF. Implementing that alone would fall very short of Trump's initial promises, Silverberg said. A White House spokeswoman also said Trump is still working to fulfill his commitment to expand IVF. Trump pledged to expand access to fertility treatments for Americans who are struggling to start families, spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said in a statement. The administration is committed, like none before it, to using its authorities to deliver on this pledge. The situation reflects the GOP's internal divisions on both IVF coverage and federal policy for families. Social conservatives, alarmed by the nation's falling birth rates, have called for more aggressive government intervention to support mothers and childbirth, including new federal funding and other protections. But their efforts have faced objections from traditional free market voices in the party who are wary of federal mandates or new spending initiatives. People should have known that he was full of poop. This was not going to ever happen. Folks that actually believe this, what is wrong with you? He's a liar, and this honestly could never have passed, could never have gotten through and actually started helping people. This person named Renee says, I voted for Trump and he screwed me over, lying scumbag. She wrote this on her Facebook page. I went over there. Jay Dale says, if only someone had warned you. Mike says, were you okay with his previous lies or just the more recent ones that affect you personally? And then Nicole says, you voted for a predator, you get what you deserve. And then she says, Clinton and the Democratic Party are predators as well. And Erica says, MAGA, molesters are granted amnesty. Cameron says, you deserve it. This is another post from Renee saying, demon rats trying to go off the Epstein files, yet forget Clinton was on the list. And I want to drop this here one more time. Lauren says, oh no, I really hope Bill Clinton isn't in the Epstein files. I'll have to get rid of my Bill Clinton hat and my Bill Clinton sneakers and my Bill Clinton cologne and my Bill Clinton watch and take down my Bill Clinton flag, and I'll have to delete my Bill Clinton NFT trading cards. What will I do with my Bill Clinton Bible? Oh, that's right. We don't buy all this merchandise for our politicians because that would be like a cult, like MAGA is a cult. If Bill Clinton did something wrong and he's on the list, still out him. Make these people face the consequences of their actions. And then once again, this is the Epstein client list. A bunch of names are redacted, but 101, Crooked Hillary. 102, Bruce Springsteen. 103, Sleepy Joe. 104 is Elon Musk. 105, Rosie O'Donnell. 106, Barack Hussein Obama. 107, Eric. Just throw an Eric under the bus. Gunther Engelman is one of those MAGA influencer grifters. He was holding one of the binders about Jeffrey Epstein. And back in July, he says, parenting tip, protect your kids from Democrats. Fast forward to recently, he's saying 7 months, no arrest. And then people below this are still trying to come after Hillary Clinton. Remember the whole lock her up, but they're not locking anybody up. They're especially not holding people accountable on the list, but they need to throw in Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama. This tweet was funny. They really want to hold Pam Bondi accountable. Gunther says, fire Bondi, recess appointment Matt Gaetz of all people. Blink, blink. Keep in mind, he said, protect your kids from Democrats, but he would want to appoint Matt Gaetz of all people. Make DC tremble. These people have no sense. Y'all remember a few months ago when Nebraska is going bankrupt was trending. People were making TikTok videos and all of that. Well, this was an article back in April. It says Nebraska's budget deficit grows by $190 million with less than a month to close the gap. Senators suggest new sales taxes, increased sin taxes, change to prison or Perkins County Canal, pause in income tax cuts to help fill budget hole. So that is the headline. The next page, Nebraska's projected budget deficit for the next 2 years has grown by $190 million after the state's Economic Forecasting Board fixed its previous estimates to be more on target. State lawmakers have less than a month to fill the gap. The Nebraska Economic Forecasting Advisory Board on Friday afternoon revised its earlier projections for the final 2 months of this fiscal year, as well as the next 2 fiscal years that lawmakers are considering in the annual budget writing process. The budget advanced from the Appropriations Committee on Thursday without revised projections at the same time with the $124 million left to find. So that was back in April. They're trying to figure out where they're going to get this money from. And they had to really, really think hard about, should we let these tax cuts go and not collect these taxes? Where else are we going to find some money? Okay, let's fast forward to right now. So fast forward to August. Nebraska is not doing too well with its GDP, especially since it is a farming state. All right, it says Nebraska's GDP shrinks 6% as farmers face high costs and low commodity prices. Yes, I'm putting this all together because if you're a farming community and your GDP depends on farmers and that GDP is probably going to go in with the budget, this state and many of these states are going to be screwed, and they're going to be screwed because they voted for a person who is royally screwing them. Nebraska farmers are facing a tough crop market and is hurting the rest of the state's economy. According to a report from the United States Bureau of Economic Analysis, Nebraska's GDP fell more than 6% in the first quarter, tied with Iowa, another red state, for the largest decrease in the nation. It's because of a loss in agriculture. Bill Landon, one of the many farmers in Nebraska feeling this brunt, said a lot has changed since he started farming in 1974. Back then, he thought if he could get $3 for a bushel of corn, we wouldn't know what to do with all the money. But now, even if farmers get $3.60 to $4, it might not be enough to break even. Prices have dropped for corn, soybeans, and other row crops. Meanwhile, the costs of farming are going up. You look at the input costs of all of the fertilizer, all the chemicals, all the insurance, all of the seeds, everything else, plus the price of land, especially if you're a renter, said John Hansen, president of the Nebraska Farmers Union. You have an enormous amount of money tied up in a crop. Why are prices dropping? Because of the trade war. Why are costs going up? Because of the tariffs. Everything that Nebraska voted for. According to the Farmers Union, those raising beef have been doing well, but crop producers are taking it on the chin. Hansen called this the worst financial time for family farmers in decades. Landon said one of the ways he's balancing this out is by cutting back on purchases. If you don't have your own equity into the farming operation, it makes it really, really rugged. And that's the thing. When you cut back on your purchases, this is going to have a ripple effect in the wider community, the wider economy, because people are holding onto their money. And this is going to impact more than just the farmers. It's going to impact the businesses that support the farmers. All of this is going to jack up the GDP, yes, in Nebraska, but this is going to impact the wider country because of all of this. It's a slow moving tsunami, but it is coming. Hansen feels this issue in Nebraska should be of national concern. And while I do agree with that, this is what they voted for. But they want that socialism part that they hate to come in and rescue them from their bad decisions. He plans to head to Washington in September in hopes of bringing up the Farm Bill, which he says needs updating. It's not in our country's interest to see family farmers and ranchers who produce our food and fiber to go broke. It's not good for national food security and not good for the future of America. But they have been on the receiving end of socialism and welfare for a long time, yet they keep voting against their own interests. So many of these people do deserve to lose their farms because this is what they voted for, and people should not keep coming in to rescue them from their bad decisions. This article was posted and you voted for that. And so Pretty Boy Bagel says no more blue money for red a-holes. And I'm just putting that out there because they demonize the blue states, whereas the red states are typically the welfare states, the taker states. And so maybe this is what they need for a while, that Trump said that he was going to send everything back to the states, let the states handle it. Well, they need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and figure it out. But this person, V, just put a leopard there and their face is being eaten, and they kind of deserve it. Farm Advertising says, you voted for this? Ha ha. No Door says, Nebraska, we voted to be racist, not poor. Regardless, their faces are being eaten. Many of these states that are poor, impoverished, lacking infrastructure, they are going to crumble under the weight of what they voted for. But wealthy taxpayers are getting a tax cut, so yay for that. The millionaires, the deca millionaires, the billionaires, they get a tax break, and these farmers are probably about to lose their farms. Anyways, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Okay, so I think that we're all on the same page that it's probably going to happen soon, right? I think that we can all agree on that. When the events start, I know that it's going to be like months long and probably a global situation. What's the themes? Are we going to do multiple themes? I feel like it's going to go on, like the celebration's going to go on for so long that there's probably going to be like waves of different themes. Is it going to be like Spirit Week in high school where there's like a different theme every day where we do something else? I think we could do like a pajama theme and then like maybe a Halloween theme and then maybe like a silly outfit, like a mix match day theme or something, like, I don't know, something along those lines. It doesn't have to be that exactly. I'm still brainstorming. Furthermore, I know some of y'all already have a playlist. I know you do. Who's on the music? Also, DJs. Who's gonna be where? I feel like there's not enough. Hold on. There's definitely enough DJs. There might be enough DJs. But we got to make sure that the DJs got the set list ready. You know what I mean? Like, what are we listening to? Like, what's the vibes? What are we doing? What are we wearing? Guys, like, I'm excited. I feel it in the air. I don't know. Something feels hopeful. I feel like it's coming, you know?